Alright guys, so today we will rank the game dev genres that are the best to make your video game in. It's an important question that you will ask yourself when you are in the pre-production phase. What genre should I make my story into a video game in? So today we will rank them from the hardest to the lowest in difficulty. So starting in open world games, they are one of the hardest to make video games ever. They take a lot of assets. If it was like a 3D game, usually open world games are 3D, so making a 3D open world game takes a lot of resources and 3D assets to make, takes a lot of complicated system to comprehend the amount of content that is going on, like dialogue systems and stuff. Even simple stuff like multilingual support takes a ton of time to do in open world games, because you're gonna have a lot of dialogues, a lot of stuff to translate into different languages, which mean you need a AAA standard dialogue system and a company that would you work with to just translate. And this is just a simple accessibility option for a system like the dialogue system. So it takes a lot of effort and time, and in my opinion, such a very complicated system comprehended video game need to be at the highest level, because open world games are apparently mostly exclusive. If you want to make a very good open world game, is for AAA industries, because even big studios like Ubisoft is struggling to make a very good open world game, just like, for example, Red Dead Redemption 2. So it's a very hard approach to go on. The other genre is fighting, so we are talking about games like Tekken or Mortal Kombat. These are could able to be a 2D, not just 3D. It would need a lot of art, a lot of competitive multiplayer systems, because they would be way more marketable if they were multiplayer than just single player. They are able to be in AA industry, not just AAA. They need not as much as 3D assets in open world games, for example, because it's usually just a number of arenas and characters. Most of the hard things are in animation, for example, and the post-production, because many people will have problems. They want you to nerf characters, they want you to add more characters, so post-production would be a very long-term thing for fighting games. It could be a couple of years or even tens of years for competitive games. So if you want to make a fighting game, you could do it at a AA standard, but you cannot make it as like an indie game. It would suck. It need a lot of budget and post-production support. So fighting games, I would rank them as very hard to do. First-person shooters, alright, so this genre goes to both indie games and AAA titles. So this is something that could be escalated to be something like Doom Eternal, for example, a fast-paced shooter with a lot of assets, a lot of content, and could be done in a very simple way. For example, inside a horror game, so you have a FPS horror game, which many indie people have done this throughout the years. Even AA titles could also do a first-person shooter. So its complexity depends on how much content you want to add actually, and how much of the story you're gonna tell, because some stories could take up to 60 hours of gameplay to actually make the player go and vibe and experience the full production of the story, and some stories are very short term that could be even done in 4 to 6 hours. So it depends actually on playtime and how much complication you want to put in this genre. I would put it, for that example, in the moderate hard genre, because you could either make it very brutal and a AAA video game just like Doom Eternal, or make it just a simple indie title. Now for survival or survival crafting video games, this is actually very moderate and very could be even said manageable. We saw a lot of indie titles that did survival crafting games, like one of them I guess was named Muck. It was made by a dev called Danny before he retired, as I think. So it's very manageable for indie titles. You could scale them to a AAA title. There are a lot of survival crafting AAA title or AA title, so they are also manageable. They do need some types of heavy 3D assets, especially for games like The Forest, for example. You need a lot of assets to do that, but also you could make them more simple and not complex, especially if you spend time. You could spend 3 years to 5 years and make a very amazing survival crafting game, even if as an indie team or a solo dev. So a survival game is moderately hard and codable even for indie titles and small indie teams, and also could be scalable for very AAA and AA title. MMORPG, just don't do it. This is too much. You need to do like tons and tons of pre-production. You need to do ton and ton of production, maybe even 6 to 8 years, and usually it will suck even more in post-production, because MMORPG need a lot of post-production support for some video games. Not like most linear video games just need patches support. MMORPG needs, and fighting games and most competitive games need a lot of post-production support, which is even not AA standardized. Usually this goes for AAA. It's in the name. It's massively RPG games, so we're talking about something that even it's in its name suggests that it's only for AAA video games industry. So I would not recommend a solo dev, neither an indie team, and neither some small AA title industries to go into MMORPG games. Only if you have a very good talented team with a prior experience in the field, and you have a AA quality like commercial project that you did before, and you are very passionate and really want to make an MMORPG game. It's really you really want it. It's really the only thing you want. Then go do it. A clicker game. So this is beginner friendly. This is very easy to do. This does not take a lot of production, neither in coding or art. It could be scalable to be manageable, but this is very hard. Usually clicker games are very beginner friendly, and by the way, I would recommend these types of games because clicker games goes very viral into YouTubers. YouTubers wanted to make one episode of a game, a very short game, and see when they don't want to make a series of gameplay, doing playing God of War for 30 episodes or something like that. They want sometimes to take a break and play a video game. So clicker games goes a good way with YouTubers and marketing, especially for beginner friendly studios. Puzzle games. Many people say puzzle games are beginner friendly, but this is just for very small projects. I would say they are manageable because they are very complicated puzzle games. We have The Witness, we have Ricky and Vicky, one of the best puzzle games that not is very known for many people. So puzzle games could be scalable even to AA titles. I don't want to put it as moderately hard, to be honest, because it's not really hard as much as how much content you need to do a level design for. So in puzzle games you need a very smart person in game design principles. You need someone who have a very old prior experience in puzzle games industries and know how to make a good puzzle, because the people who play puzzle games, by the way, they know how to solve puzzles very well. So you need to make them satisfied with the gameplay principles that you are using, and again, they could be even a AA title just like The Witness, and could be a very beginner friendly game for an indie studio. Visual novel, of course, beginner friendly. It just needs some arts, some story to tell. Some people could say it's a manageable game for like a small team of NDs. If you want to really go and make a very complicated story with a very complicated routes for the story, a visual novel could be manageable, but it never could go for a AA or AAA title. I've never seen that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I've never seen a visual novel going upper than ND titles. Because usually visual novels does not really need that much in production or production complication, especially because most of the heavy lifting is in the pre-production plan, which is writing the story. Tactical RPG, I would say moderately hard, not the worst thing ever. You could make a tactical RPG even if you are not very experienced team, that maybe even if it's your first team. A tactical RPG is something that you could do. It takes a lot of for a small team, it takes a lot of post-production and a lot of gameplay testing, because the stats in the game need to be adjusted so it becomes a very good, as we say, balanced game. But a tactical RPG is not very complicated. It has a complicated systems in coding, but mostly this is not the thing that makes video games really hard to do. Just like, for example, open world that needs a lot of assets, need not just very complicated but very accessible complicated systems, as we discussed before. So a tactical RPG is very manageable for small teams or a AA title video game studio. So I definitely recommend that if you have even prior experience. Again, a tactical RPG, just like puzzle games and MMORPG games and fighting games, also maybe visual novels, these people usually play only or most of the time this genre, so you need to understand this genre. Again, a very good tip is to be in the field that you are making a game in. Go see what the people, go take 3 months of brainstorming just to play a tactical RPG game. Go in the communities, see what they like and what they don't like, what games they do like, what their criticism about the game that they like and the game that they don't really like. So go into the community, dive deep down, understand every corner of this industry, then go and do the game pre-production plan, because brainstorming these is important. You don't want to be out of touch when you are making genres that people have a very closed community, and because clicker games and maybe some type of linear games is playable by mostly everyone, so you really be hard to be out of touch in these games. Like, look at Ubisoft and Assassin's Creed. Oh my fucking god. Endless Runner, definitely beginner friendly. It does not take a lot of time to produce an Endless Runner game. Endless Runner games are usually very easy to produce for a small team. They are hardly able to be a complicated video game. It takes you are smart if you can make the production of this game takes a lot of time, because it means you added a lot of new unique content, because Endless Runners does not take a lot of effort to do. Usually it's an ND title closed, in my opinion. Only bigger studios that have a lot of small teams that work with them are able to make such stuff. Usually it's done by ND people, but if a big company want to do it, usually like it's a mobile company that have a lot of small teams that make small games and bulk publish them on Google Play or stuff like that. But usually it's very, very easy to do and beginner friendly. Alright, so Bullet Hell Games, I would say manageable. Bullet Hell Games are well known in the ND industry and could even go for a AA title. I've seen even a 3D Bullet Hell games that are very famous and made a lot of sales. I forgot the game name, but you can scale up the production to make a very big title, not just a small indie title for Bullet Hell games. I strongly recommend them, but again, just like visual novels, just like tactical RPGs, MMORPGs, and fighting games, you need to understand the community, so you need to go and brainstorm what people that play in the community that usually play bullet hell games, what they do usually make, what they do usually love to see video game companies make. Metroidvania. Alright, so this either could be manageable or moderately hard, because it could be scale up to a very big production. Metroidvania is not very beginner friendly for small indie titles, like say Hollow Knight. It's very complicated in design, so even big industries could do Metroidvania, especially if it was a 3D Metroidvania game or 2.5 Metroidvania game. So we're talking about something that could scale, and even for 2D games is very hard to do. So because you need to make a lot of content in Metroidvania, you cannot make a small content Metroidvania game. It would suck. Most people expect at least 30 to 25 at least hours of gameplay in such types of game. 2D platformers, definitely manageable. You could go crazy like Celeste and make like a fucking absolute masterpiece of such a like a title. You could go for that, but usually 2D platformers are very manageable and codeable by multiple small teams and titles. Like multiple titles, it's the most known indie title genre ever. 2D platformers is very easy to do, and I'm talking in a prior experience. Narrative adventure, I could put this also in manageable, just because narrative adventure could go moderately hard if you did a 3D narrative adventure game, and it could very scale up. But again, narrative adventure games, just like puzzle games, visual novels, or tactical RPGs and MMORPGs, you need to go and involve yourself in the community to understand what do they like and what do they don't like. I hope very much that you liked this video. We're trying to make more content than reaction videos, like 1 or 2 episodes a week, just to manage stuff. So definitely go and check out my channel. Thanks for watching. I hope very much that I helped you in any way possible. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next episode.